Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Eric Nelson. I'm the Senior Associate Dean of Academic Affairs here at the School of Professional Studies. It is a pleasure to open tonight's program as we celebrate the launch of our new Master of Science in Project Management, a program that truly represents the next chapter of innovation, collaboration, and academic excellence at Columbia. To officially welcome us and share more about this exciting milestone, it is my honor to introduce someone whose leadership and vision have guided the School of Professional Studies through a remarkable period of growth and transformation. Dr. Steve Cohen. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Cohen.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you all for being here today. And it's really a pleasure to welcome you to this milestone event. As Eric just mentioned, the official launch of the university's Master of Science in Project Management program. Tonight marks both a beginning and a continuation of an enduring legacy. This program represents the next evolution of our highly respected MS in Construction Administration, a program that for years prepared leaders to manage some of the most complex and visible projects shaping our cities and communities. As our longtime faculty member and program director used to say, we built this. As we look to the future, we recognize that the principles of project management extend far beyond the construction site. And in fact, that's really the genesis of this program. As we looked at the curriculum, we saw that there was a lot in that construction program that people in other fields really needed to know. They're now central to how organizations in every sector turn strategy into action. This new program is in essence a school-wide management program here at the School of Professional Studies. The MS in Project Management was designed to meet that moment, to prepare professionals who can lead with confidence, adapt with agility, and connect human insight with technological fluency in an age increasingly defined by artificial intelligence and innovation. We live in a more complex world with more and more advanced technologies, and we need to learn how to manage projects in this ever-changing world. The program's construction concentration will be offered in partnership with our colleagues at Columbia School of Engineering and Applied Science, their Department of Civil Engineering and Engineering Mechanics, a partnership that strengthens our shared commitment to excellence in engineering, management, and applied innovation. A special thanks tonight goes to Dean Shifu Chang, Dean of Columbia's Engineering School, and Dr. Ibrahim O'Day, a key faculty member who shepherded and led the development of the construction concentration in this program. Their leadership and partnership exemplify the spirit of collaboration that makes Columbia truly exceptional. It's a wonderful example of how Columbia can bring disciplines together to build something truly future ready. In addition, each of our other concentrations has been developed in partnership with existing SPS master's programs, drawing on their deep expertise in faculty talent, technology management in our MS in Technology Management program, sustainability management in our Sustainability Management program, and sports management with the MS in Sports Management. These collaborations ensure that students learn from leaders who are already shaping practice in their respective industries. I want to thank my colleagues Sharyar Shagagi and Scott Rosner for their partnership, insight, and commitment to academic innovation. And of course, I want to recognize Dr. Evangelia Ianier-Amaki, see, I managed to pronounce it, our program director for project management, whose leadership, dedication, and academic vision have really guided this every step along the way. She's a professional civil engineer with over 15 years of academic and industry experience. She holds degrees and a doctorate degree in civil and environmental engineering from MIT, and played a key role in designing and delivering major infrastructure projects worldwide. Her academic leadership and professional expertise will continue to guide the program's evolution and strengthen its mission to prepare our students for project leadership across industries. The title of tonight's event, Smarter Projects and Stronger Leaders in the Age of AI, captures exactly what this program stands for. Leadership grounded in expertise, empowered by technology, and guided by a sense of purpose. Project management is a management skill required by all managers at every level of every organization. It includes scheduling, budgeting, tracking, and assessing the on-the-ground work of every organization, something that we sometimes wish we saw in places like Columbia University, and is certainly needed everywhere. So thank you for joining us to celebrate this new chapter for our students, our school, and for the university. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the evening. Please come up, Eva.
Thank you, Steve. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Evangelia Ieronimaki. I'm the program director of the new Master of Science in Project Management here at Columbia University School of Professional Studies. It's a pleasure to have you with us for this special event. This event marks an exciting milestone, not just the introduction of a new program, but the launch of a bold, future-facing program designed to equip the next generation of project leaders with the tools, insight, and confidence to manage complex projects in a fast-changing world. The project management program is built around the core beliefs that project managers today must be more than schedulers and budget keepers. They must be adaptive leaders, capable of managing people, risk, change, and increasingly, data and digital tools. They must lead with clarity, with collaboration, and with a strategic mindset. And they must be prepared to do all of this in environments shaped by rapid technological transformation, including artificial intelligence, which is not replacing project managers, but rather reshaping how they lead. Our program offers 4 areas of concentration: construction in partnership with Columbia Engineering, sports management, sustainability management, and technology management. In addition, we offer a general track for students who prefer a broader approach. This track is ideal for those looking to customize their studies across sectors or develop a flexible skill set without committing to a single concentration. These pathways allow students to shape their graduate experience while mastering the foundational skills every project manager needs: planning, leadership, budgeting, stakeholder engagement, and digital fluency. Tonight's panel discussion is titled Introducing Columbia's Future-Ready Project Management Program in the Age of AI, but the conversation will go beyond AI. It's about how project management is evolving across industries and how our program is designed to meet that evolution head-on. You'll hear from a range of expert voices, each representing a different concentration and professional perspective. Together, we will explore what today's employers are really looking for in project leaders, how digital tools, including AI, are transforming delivery models, and what advice these professionals would give to our future students. Let me now introduce our panelists. I'm thrilled to be joined by these exceptional colleagues and collaborators. As you already met, Dr. Steve Cohen, Senior Vice Dean and Program Director of Sustainability Management, Dr. Ibrahim O'Day, Chair of the Engineering and Construction Management Program, Dr. Scott Rosner, Program Director of Sports Management Program, and Shahryar Shagagi, Program Director of Technology Management Program. Thank you all for being here. I'll be moderating the discussion, and I'll start by posing a few questions, and of course we'll save time in the end for your questions as well. So let's begin. I will start with the first question. From your perspective, what defines a future-ready project manager today? Steve.
Well, let's see. I think somebody who can see the future and predict it. No. I think what's necessary actually is a certain amount of imagination and agility we don't really know what's coming next. And we have to get used to this instability. Artificial intelligence is going to be helpful as our search engines. We have an incredible array of tools for getting data, observing the world, acting on the world. And I think the key limitation, frankly, is our own brain power. How much can we absorb? And we have to get better at that. But we also have to get used to the idea that whatever happens today is not necessarily going to be what happens tomorrow.
Excellent. Thank you, Eva, for the introduction. Thank you, Steve, and everyone for this great program. I'm going to talk about it from a construction perspective. From my humble opinion, we need to look at the changes happening in the industry itself. One of it would be AI and technological changes. There is many other things happening from sustainability, resiliency, and others. But the key words in something specific related to the future of PM in the construction would be agility and adaptability. To be as adaptive as you can as you move forward with all the uncertainty all around us. This is one. Second, I would highlight the area of data-driven leader. I humbly believe data is the new oil. We keep hearing this over and over. I'm a believer in it. To be able to understand how to integrate such information coming from the data to the actual discipline that you are in, like construction, is a key. And let me close with one sentence. I did a quick exercise on understanding from all the disciplines we have in engineering, which area would be the least disrupted with all the wave of technology and AI. The one was construction. It was the least disrupted discipline. So I'm excited about this for the concentration.
And to echo one of the things you said, to quote Deming, in God we trust, everybody else bring data.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So first, hi everyone. You know, it's funny, and as much respect as I have for my colleagues up here and their different disciplines, it's only the sports industry that actually had a best-selling book and a movie made about the integration of data into the long expected processes, right? Which of course is Moneyball. So what we think about in the sports industry, and I can explain a little bit about what we'll bring to the table in down the road, just in terms of the different courses you'll take and how that will be integrated with the project management expertise. But to answer the future ready question, you know, I think to a degree it's someone who is open-minded about these things as well, right? That they're willing to, you know, it's one thing, oh, I'm willing to innovate, but then you get stuck in your old ways and the things that kind of got you to the place where you're able to then make those decisions. So that's, I think, a big piece of it. And in the sports industry, there's really two areas that we think about where project managers are really involved heavily. One is in like the mega sporting event area, so the World Cup, the Olympics, the Rugby World Cup, the Women's World Cup, FIFA Women's World Cup, Cricket World Cup, etc. All of which have either just been held or are about to be held in the United States in the coming years. And the other piece is on new facility construction, right? And that's really where we see both stadiums and arenas, college, professional, minor league, where over 2026 and beyond, there's already $27 billion of future projects committed. And that's just really at the very top of the pyramid. So people who are willing at those levels to really think differently, I think is a big key to the future ready piece.
Thank you, Scott. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough that most of my career I've been managing projects and managing programs from some largest financial services, technology integration and cybersecurity programs to Y2K when I did for United Airlines to make sure by midnight no planes are falling off the sky.
Not really sure some of the folks here know what Y2K was, looking at the youth in here.
I was just
only 25 years ago.
Right, exactly.
Year 2000, before that. The digital from 6 to 8. But yeah, so I think your question in terms of what's still important, you know, as a project or program manager, you always have to understand how to translate strategy into measurable results and stay on it, because you lose your customers if you're kind of diving deep into areas that you lose touch of surface. But more importantly, I think in the new age or future, we have so many different, you know, we had 3 legs of the stool in project management, which was budget, scope, and a schedule. And a scope was a tricky one because we had to always deal with change management. But now in this world, with all the changes from sustainability mandates to geopolitical situations, when your program is global, you have to always be able to manage these throughout the life of the project. So that's really important. And one last thing is the borders are going away. The world is becoming very global. So you have to be able to work in a very multicultural environments.
Thank you. Our next question is, how is project management changing in your industry?
Well, you know, it's funny, in sustainability, when I first started working in it, I was really talking what I now call the subfield of environmental sustainability, which is the environmental impact of everything we do and how much energy we're using, what kind of energy, what waste is being produced. But the definition of sustainability has now been broadened. It now includes the management of the organization itself. We're in a brain-based economy, so is this organization built on a diversity of lived experiences of its board and of its staff? And are we able to get the best possible people? The other piece is, what's the community impact of what we're doing? In Columbia University in 1968, they tried to build a gym on Morningside Park, not really focused much on community impact. When they built the new campus, President Bollinger hired about 25 people to work on Harlem politics for a decade so that we could get that sited. That is what I call mindful management, paying attention to what your organization is doing to the planet, to the people, and to your community. And that has made project management in my field incredibly complicated because you have so many dimensions that you have to focus on. And so I think that would be my short answer to your very complicated question.
How to start? In construction, I would look at it from the end result of what we're trying to do, which is the city. How I see it is what we refer to it as the rise of a 4th industrial revolution. We have more intersection of people with technology nowadays. We have around 5 active generations in the industry. The last 2 generations we have, especially from millennials and a little bit rising now the Gen Z, I don't refer to them as like how the baby boomers used to do it or the Gen X, but they are coming as a digital native / AI native generation. That is impacting heavily the management of construction because we are dealing with the new leaders that coming, not just like how to, hire them, but how to retain them, how to create an environment between all these companies that leading of building cities of the future to be able to excel. So I see changes happening of definitely the intersection of management with technology. There is a lot of technological tools keep rising. In my program, we travel the world. Every year we pick 2 countries to visit to understand what's happening from trends in the construction industry. I keep seeing rise of technology from wearable technologies in the field. Some experimentation of robotics, still infancy stage, but keep rising. And others that may be just more related to drone technology, as well as just like the use of tablets instead of blueprints all over. So I'm excited about that intersection and how the management or the future of construction manager look like in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, to echo what's just been said, there's a much greater reliance on technology in our space, which, you know, it sounds funny to say, but like it really was not ever relied on in building stadiums, and it was kind of like, you know, if you think about construction of like the original eighth wonder of the world, as it was referred to, the Houston Astrodome, right? Because it had these princely luxury suites where people would pay a lot of money to sit there, and the team could make a lot more money. I think, you know, what's important in all of this is, while the technology has gotten much more sophisticated, and we can talk about what's happened at different stadiums that we've and our students in our program have visited, and some of the really cool things that we're seeing, but in the end, there's sometimes an over-reliance on some of the technology, right? And I think we need to keep that in mind. You know, that you kind of lost the forest for the trees, you know, kind of mentality, and the over-reliance has led to some kind of odd decisions, because that's what the models say that you should do, and this is how it should be built out. And the reality is, sometimes common sense also still needs, the machine can't do everything, right? Sometimes common sense really still very much matters.
They said so much about technology. I feel like they should change their program, technology management.
We're all signing up, sure.
But that, my lawyers tell me that's taken already, so I don't know.
So I think, first of all, technology management, the same with sustainability and other programs, we are not a vertical kind of a function. We are cross industry. So, and I think, you know, as I'm looking into future talents or talents that are needed by collaborating with industry leaders, they're saying cross industry and understanding extended enterprise and specialization are key for anybody to be successful. So I think, you know, we cannot think about any organization, regardless of what industry, that operates within their four walls. Industries are constantly working with each other in a number of ways. So that's really important for a project manager to understand how to go across different industries. And then a specialization is really getting down deep into the areas that the core competency of the project is required, is I think the key. And of course, we all know that, you know, the future project managers have to be equipped, and I think that our programs are doing that for them, to walk in the door and start working with AI agents and being able to have the human in the loop and collaboration with AI as sort of like a future must-have. So those are some of the key points.
You actually touched the next question a little bit with your answer to this one, but I will just pause it anyway. Technology is transforming every phase of project delivery. Beyond AI, what digital tools or innovations are having the greatest impact in your sector?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that I would point to. First, observing the planet, measuring the planet, is an expensive thing to do. And we actually know much more about the human body than we know about the planet we live on. And so the use of drones and of other kinds of remote technology, Robin Bell, who is a major professor at the Lamont Observatory, figured out how to use Air Force planes that were supplying the poles with lasers so she could measure the rivers that were underneath the glaciers. And she was famous for developing that map, thinking about the use of technology. So I would say data collection is one. In my own world of thinking about what are we going to do with all this garbage, I think ultimately we're not going to dump it into holes in the ground. We are going to put it into a single stream and use robotics and artificial intelligence to mine it for the resources we now get out of the planet. That technology is already being developed. It's in place in some places. It's not at scale yet, but it will be, because there's going to come a time when it'll be cheaper to mine the garbage than mine the planet.
Nice.
I like the sentence. From construction perspective, I mentioned maybe in my previous answer some examples from drone technologies But there is many technological trends keep rising in the construction industry. Let me start with one fact first. Our industry is the second least digitized industry in the world. Few years ago, I looked at it as, that's not good. With time, I started to see a lot of opportunities flying in the air, with intersection between construction, with technology, with legal, with every single discipline that you can think of. There are many technologies that keep coming to our industry to change the way we're delivering assets, building stadiums, building bridges, cities. So there are, in addition to the drones, there is a move towards more robotics, as I mentioned, wearable technologies, AR and VR, and many other things. From my humble opinion, I see the rise of digital twin in specific would be a big impact in our industry, because it's connecting the pre-design to the design to the construction aspect to the operation and maintenance of the city at the end. So that kind of technology to integrate with all the phases is a rising technology that I would like to highlight. Another maybe two, one very mature, which is not specifically technology, it's more innovation, which is modular construction, which is how you are building by what my colleague once said, legalization.
Right.
So from a Lego perspective, you'll be able to build in no time. But when you dig deeper into this modularization wave, it started in the early 1900s until now, so over 120 years. So the shift in the mindset managed to bring it more and more towards the industry. And to wrap up with a lot of rising infancy stage, I call them technologies like 3D printing. I'm very big fan of 3D printing, but I see still early to make huge impact. Maybe from an element perspective, we'll talk about it maybe later, but to have a bigger scale, it's coming, but it's gonna take more time. Robotics also infancy stage, but I'm excited about robotics. I'm involved with many myself. And with that, I will wrap up. It's not about the technology itself. It's more about the mindset of the people that create the culture of the industry and the companies that will take these technologies into action.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, there's Power BI, right, for in our space. Coordination software that exists for coordinating projects. So Bluebeam, right, is one of them. Real-time construction imaging and tracking, so you can kind of see what's happening versus what was supposed to be happening, right? Which is a big problem when I'm running things, right? And so it's, I think Disperse is the big software package there. And so, but you think about these things, and like we think about modular construction, right? So in the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar, there was an entire stadium that was built in modular fashion, right? And I think for some of the more kind of one-off events, instead of being stuck with, these white elephant facilities, for generations after the fact, like these, they're really cool when they're built, but then they don't get used anymore, right? And you have this awful legacy that exists. The ability to do things in a modular fashion. For those of you who are sports fans, in two global sports that have come to the U.S. more recently, one, the Cricket World Cup, right, the T20 World Cup, and they had matches out on Long Island, and they were temporary. It was a temporary stadium that was built, and that same stadium, well, they just built it from scratch. No, that's actually the same exact facility, and they just kind of reconfigured it that they use at the Formula One race in Las Vegas. Right, and they just ship it across the country and build the stadium in a different place. And what's cool about that is that for our program, there's 4 courses, and we'll talk about what each of them are. But one of them is a facility management course, and the person who teaches that class is the same person who oversaw the construction and the operation of the modular facility for the Cricket World Cup on Long Island. So how do you coordinate all of that? So it's real world people who are doing things that are really cool, innovative, and interesting. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I think if you look at it from a PM's toolbox, there are tools that are more of a horizontal, like project management tools. By the way, a lot of these tools are being infused or injected by a lot of AI already. Like if you have, and as you know, most of these tools are becoming more of a product, moving from product to platforms. So back in the days, Google was a search engine. Today, Google is a platform, as an example. So you have to understand all different aspects of these platforms to be really productive. And of course, BI tools, as well as predictive modeling and scenario modeling type of tools. Those are all kind of, I think, horizontal. But if you look at the nature of the project, there are going to be a specific vertical applications that you would need to learn to be able to fast track certain areas within the project, especially as it relates to the domain expertise.
Thank you. My next question is, could you describe a project or scenario from your concentration that captures what students might experience?
Well, I mean, I think that pretty much everything that you do in an organization, in some respect, is a project. In other words, you're given an assignment, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and an end. You have to report on what you've done. Yeah. You have to do it within a budget. You have to be able to somehow fit into the key performance indicators of the organization. And so sustainability as a field is incredibly broad. And we do, we're engaged in, worlds like construction, so the issues are often, very cross-disciplinary. But I guess the way I think about the field is that most of our work requires groups of people from a multiplicity of disciplines. And the key skill, frankly, of a sustainability management person is to be the translator, the person who moves from the construction expert to the technology expert to the sports expert and explains the environmental impact and environmental costs of whatever it is we're doing. And so I think what's really exciting about being part of a project management program is that the project management skill, to me, is the sort of in-depth, on-the-ground management skills that sometimes people, they're really broad, big thinkers and big strategists and all the rest of that, but you need that person to turn it into the nuts and bolts. And I think that what's exciting here is that those skills, we often find when something goes wrong, it's because there wasn't a project management person engaged in the work. And that's what I think is really exciting about it across all of our fields.
So the question is an example from the classroom, like a project, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few. I'm going to focus only on maybe one. Like, we are, personally speaking, I'm a believer of bridging between theory and practice in education. How to do that in the classroom environment is we work very closely with professors or adjunct professors that have been doing it for a while in the industry to come to the classroom and speak to our students. And in some occasions, you will see from all our concentrations, we have those who've done it for many years, and then they come to highlight how the theory is connected to the practice. This is one. Second, how we do that is we take, for example, a group of students, we assign them in projects where they go to the field in the construction again to study specific challenges in that project and how the team overcame such challenges and extract what are lessons learned. We do it over and over and over in almost all the classes. Plus, we took it a little bit further to go outside the classroom and outside the country. In the last 15 years, we've been traveling in different countries around the world, from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Italy, Thailand, India, China, you name it, to visit ongoing construction projects and come back to extract what lessons learned we observed. So that's the kind of example of projects we've been involved in.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, again, it's as Ibrahim just said, it's marrying the theory and practice, right? So for us, one of the courses that the students will take, as I just mentioned, is the Facilities and Event Management course. And so the students go to MetLife Stadium on a game day. They're there before the athletes are there. They're there at 9 a.m. and because that's what you're learning and basically you're applying what you've learned in the classroom, literally everything from how is ingress and egress of parking going to work, right? The little things you don't really think about, to security and the technology that you're going to use, both from a ticketing perspective and from a security perspective. And there's more and more technology. There's now stadiums you can walk through. You don't have to break stride. They use AI, facial recognition. You don't have to stop. You don't have to get patted down or anything. You don't have to take out your ticket or take out your phone, which is your ticket now. It's like Monopoly, right? You do not pass, you pass go, you collect your $200 and you keep going, right? And so, but learning all the different aspects of what happens in that building on a game day are really, really important, because you see all the different moving pieces, how they all have to intersect with each other, right? And then bigger picture, because you're taking another course on revenue strategies, and that how all the different pieces come together, where the cost centers are, where the revenue generators are. And so if you think about from a project management perspective, you're really getting this 360-degree level of experience or understanding that comes with it. So it's just, again, for all the technology and all the stuff that is amazing and really, really important, you still have to understand the business, right, in the larger context in which you're operating. And there's still nothing that replaces critical thinking and common sense, right? And so that is an enormous piece of the puzzle for us. And you can have the best stadium in the world, really cool design, and everything else. And we take our students when we're in Madrid each year to the Santiago Bernabeu around Madrid Stadium, which has undergone a $1 billion plus facelift. They say it's like 800 million. Trust me, it's way over that. And ultimately, you get down to the floor and how the technology comes together, but you still have to understand the business part of it. And again, it just gets lost quite frequently.
Yeah, actually, they're pretty sophisticated. They know how many hot dogs you have, so they can sell you more beer.
Well, but it didn't used to be like that, right? At Yankee Stadium, for those of you who've been there, for a long time, how they thought about these things is there was a guy who was actually, he worked for the person that we employ to teach the course, and he would look around. He's like, okay, it's 67 degrees. It's a Tuesday. Our best pitcher is playing. It's a rivalry game. Their second best pitcher is playing. It's July. Tonight we're going to sell 23,000 hot dogs. And the crazy thing is, he would be pretty close, right, to getting it right. And that's how they did it for a long time. Now it's gone way beyond that, but that's not something that just happened 25 years ago. That's like literally within the last 15 years, right?
Yeah, so I'll make it quick. There is, a lot of courses that we have are very project-based and case-based. So we have digital transformation, we have, design thinking course. All these courses are very much project-based, so they go through the entire full life cycle from strategy requirements through design, coding, all the way. And with coding, we even don't need to have coders anymore because we use AI. And we've been experimenting that in most of our courses. And of course, our capstone is with real sponsors. So like this year, we're using a number of companies, including Deloitte, as a real project that they put us on. So, yeah.
Very good. My last question is, for those considering your concentration, what career paths can they expect? And what advice would you give them as they begin the program?
Well, I think the career paths are going to focus, in the case of the project management people, on the operations side. So we have a course that's taught by the head of sustainability for Colgate-Palmolive, and he teaches a course on sustainability operations. And what he talks about is things like new product introduction and what are the sustainability factors involved in that introduction. So I think what I'd say about people who pursue sustainability management with a project management concentration is that you will be involved in the field level, on the ground aspects of sustainability, which frankly, well, to quote one of my first bosses, he used to say, there's no cash registers in headquarters. All the cash registers are in the stores. Now, nobody has cash registers, but what he really meant is the revenues come from operations. The revenues in organizations come from the operations where you see customers. And I would suspect that the project management concentrators, that project management degree people in my program will be the ones who will be the customer-facing people.
I'll make it also quick. There is many ways. Let me start with one sentence here. Like civil engineering, construction engineering, they used to call it the CEO track, where you will be into the management aspect dealing with the technical and the people. What kind of roles that you will have is exactly what I just mentioned, either as an assistant project manager, construction manager, or a project manager in the field. It could be in the construction active projects or in the company, in the office. This is one, the conventional one, and there is a huge rise now in the area of construction engineering and construction management in specific. Startups from Comtech, Infratech, even PropTech that coming from the construction discipline of how, again, you remember what I mentioned, the second least digitized. So there is a new breeds of new companies keep rising, of new leaders like yourself, like coming to reinvent and deliver impact in the industry. And to close by here is the industry from construction is low barrier to entry. So it could be also as you own your own business, as a subcontractor, to be involved in a company, that's also doable. So there's a lot of variety of roles in this track.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, as I started the conversation with earlier, it's really the mega global sporting events, right? You don't just start planning a World Cup and it happens next year, right? I mean, it is, or an Olympic Games. These are 5 to 7 year lead time kind of projects. And there's a lot going on, everything from accreditation, getting the media there, to the housing of the athletes. There's just a lot that has to happen. So the project management skills for those events in particular are really important and are in a big role. And the other is in construction. Certainly, as we've talked about that already. But I think with all of these, right, in terms of like what you need, so the technical chops you have to have, right? I think we all understand that. You have to understand, what you're doing. Strategic, so how what you're doing fits into the bigger picture of what your organization or what this entity is all about. And then finally, I think the one we haven't really talked about a lot is the interpersonal, and that you still are working with people, and you still have to be able to manage people, and kind of know how to motivate them. Know how to keep them happy. And again, it's about people. So if you don't have that, and the combination of all three, somewhere along the way, you're going to reach a peak probably before you otherwise should be. Yeah, reaching that peak.
Yeah, I think everything as Scott said towards the end is exactly what I was going to say. And then, of course, as you heard from Dr. Cohen, everything we do in life is project management. So you have to, it's a very broad area that you can land in different situations from, maybe you can, if you want to anchor off of technology management, you could get into like leading digital transformation initiatives. You could be in innovation roles because innovation is the new big thing, especially in competition with some of our adversaries. And then, of course, if you look at it from a standpoint of traditional CIO, CTO type of tracks, you could move up in those areas as well. So yeah, and the sky is unlimited in terms of roles.
Thank you all very much for sharing such thoughtful and insightful perspectives tonight. We'll open the floor to your questions. I encourage you to direct your question to a specific panelist depending on your interest. So let's begin. We have a microphone right there, so please.
Stunned silence. No, if you want to ask a question, you can
we have
go.
a question.
Oh, you have one there? I think you have to go to the back for the microphone. Is that how this is working?
Yes.
Okay.
The mic is not working, I think.
We need a project manager.
That's right.
So anyone who would like to ask a question, you could
behi-
line
right
up
behind
here.
you, Right behind you.
Hello, my name is Vijita. I have a question for Dr. I'm going to get your name wrong, Shagagi.
Yes, Shahriar, yeah.
So I'm curious, since you said that technology goes across vertical, like it's horizontal rather than vertical, where do you see the importance of domain expertise kind of playing in? Because you mentioned Deloitte, but then you also mentioned in your experience you've done a lot of fintech or like financial services. So how would domain expertise kind of play into like the technology management focus?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So if you look at it from a standpoint of, industry, as I mentioned, to re-emphasize what you just said, we go cross industry. We can work in healthcare, we can work in financial services, doesn't matter, right? But as it relates to core competency and domain expertise, our project managers, or the way we equip our project managers, they have to understand how to fully make the right IT infrastructure. Like for instance, the new AI demands compute power. It requires unique set of characteristics for data centers. You've seen all this money pouring into these data centers. So you really need to understand the IT infrastructure, enterprise architecture. All of those areas are really key for you to know how these projects are going to be successful with all these integration requirements. And then of course, the other domain expertise relates to software development or application development, which today with Agile and various types of methods that we are applying through these courses that we offer, the students are going to be very well experienced in terms of how to take requirements all the way through implementation.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just a little higher. How you doing? My name is Jose Morel. I'm an alum from the CEPA program, EMPA, under Mr. Cohen's. My question is actually for Abraham. What leadership skills remain crucial in AI augmented project environments?
Okay. Well, it's interesting. We had a program in sustainability management with a few weeks ago, and AI came up as it does in everything we're talking about. And part of what AI is, in our view, is it's a tool that's going to raise the floor of expectations. In a sense, search engines did that when the internet came about for researchers. So instead of spending 100 hours pouring through documents, we could now get the same information in 10 minutes out of a search engine. Now, the game's getting upped. And so a leader has to be able to assume that the expectation of an understanding of the situation and performance, and also being able to predict what might happen with your projects, those expectations will rise. And so the leadership skills that are needed, we started with, are agility, flexibility, and the ability to absorb new kinds of information and be creative about how you use that information. I think what humans are going to be used for more than ever is judgment and creativity. This is why the emphasis on group processes where people come from different environments with different lived experiences, they can all interpret that information that AI produces in a different way and can produce innovative and creative solutions to vexing problems.
Maybe I would like to add as well, when it comes to the attributes of a leader, especially in the area of construction, I see few things keep rising. There is new skills keep rising, and there is other skills keep fading away. Like the future, even the workspace is being different. And to jump into the answer right away is soft skills keep rising. The intersection of technology and people will make us more important to how to communicate, how to integrate. Because at the end, you're going to be leading labors. I like one of the ironic kind of flyer that I saw in one of the buildings in Europe where it says like, hey, ChatGPT, please finish this building, build this building. So you cannot. You have still to deal with the people to be able to put the concrete, put the steel, and keep building and building and building. This is one. Second, data-driven skill. You have there's a skill of how to interpret data and how to tell the story. So again, back to the soft skills. Soft skills of how to tell the story of the data that you have in hand. I see it more important than ever before. If you will not be able, if you go, as they keep asking me, what's the next big thing, Ibrahim, the concern that you have? I say like trusting the data blindly. So when you go to any program and get the data right away, the answer, let's say, from example, ChatGPT, don't trust it 100%. Read it. Try to understand it further and move forward. Let me close with something. I humbly believe what's rising from our discipline, it's not AI we're going to replace construction managers, but construction managers with an AI skills and knowledge will replace the construction people. This is my humble opinion.
Hello everyone, I'm Arpit. I'm in sports management program. So we talked about World Cup a lot, that is coming in 2026. If you look at the last 3 World Cup that has happened, Brazil, then Russia and Qatar, I mean from a World Cup perspective it's a massive boost for every World Cup. But when we look in those countries or the games that are there, it doesn't leave any impact on the leagues there happening, right? Now World Cup is coming to US. We already have MLS and NWSL in a very good manner running in. So from a AI perspective, if you look at 2022, there's not that much upgrades available, but now we have enough power to kind of utilize AI and get the best out of the World Cups so that it can last for the leagues after World Cup as well. So what do you think as a project manager or even like as a product manager, someone can takeaways or like do in the World Cup so that that impact lasts after the leagues and they can utilize it for the growth of the leagues and expansion?
I take it that question's for me, Arpit?
Yeah.
Or no? Yeah.
I mean, it's an open question for everyone.
Okay.
Let's let Scott handle it.
Yeah, sure.
So I worked for the World Cup the last time I was here. It was my first job in 1994, and it was still then about the people. I was in charge of the volunteers, including the person who had to wear the mascot uniform. So if that person didn't show up, guess what? Has to get done. I wore the mascot uniform. You tried juggling a soccer ball with size 22 dog feet on it, right?
Are there photos of this?
There are. You wouldn't know it's me, but there are photos. So Striker the dog, look it up. And we are back then. The mission of the organization was twofold, right? One was to present the greatest World Cup in history, which we did, right? I mean, it was still to this day is the most attended World Cup, and it will be again because for 2 reasons. One, our stadiums are bigger, right? And 2, in addition to the capacity, there's more matches now, right, than there were before. This will be a 48-team World Cup for better or worse. And so that was one, right? And the second, and we made FIFA a lot of money, right? Trust me, I didn't get a whole lot of salary, but they made a whole lot of money, right? And 2 was to leave a lasting legacy for soccer in the United States. So they took, FIFA to their credit, a lot of the profit from the '94 World Cup went to providing the seed money for the league that became Major League Soccer, right? And so now the question is, what happened, as Arpit, as you so artfully phrased, what's the next stage? And the next stage one is further elevation of the league and the global mind. I mean, I think that depending on who you ask, The league is somewhere between the 8th and the 15th best league in the world. And so, you know, and the MLS people, if there's anyone here from MLS, I'm sorry, I meant the 6th best or 5th best. But, you know, there's different ways to measure that, but that's a whole other conversation. And so then from a tech perspective, from an AI perspective, it's a good question. I mean, certainly the technology is going to be used it's not going to be used in ingress egress from the stadiums this time around. The one-off nature of it and other concerns come into play. I think it is going to be used a lot from a security perspective, things that we don't want to know about, you know, as fans, but I think that are going to be really important in keeping, you know, again, it's, in the world that we live in, it's a target, right? And so using it from a security perspective, for sure, facial recognition, et cetera. So good question, long answer.
Thank you. We're going to have one more question.
Yes, okay, thank you. Hello, I'm Dongju Kang from Columbia SIPA, and I'm a student interested in AI and tech policy. I really appreciate your insights today, and especially I resonate with your point about the importance of not only technical knowledge, but also the interpersonal skill. So my question is, how do you think we can effectively improve our interpersonal skills in today's era? Do you think the ways to develop skills are different from, say, 20 years ago, or are they fundamentally the same because human nature is as it is?
You should come to the reception afterwards and practice over wine. And that would be my principal suggestion. Somebody have something more substantive?
Once you are outside your comfort zone, you will be in the right place.
Yes, that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, the soft skills, you know, 30 some odd years ago when I was hiring major consulting firms, 75% of the attributes that we scored you on were your soft skills. Okay. So they're still very important. And I see that as still for especially entry-level positions, you know, that's really key. So I would say that.
Yeah, and I'll just add in, so I've been, you know, despite my boyish looks, I've been doing this since 1998, right, as a professor. And we spend more time now on soft skills than I have ever done before. And it's a very, you know, from culture building to really just the interpersonal part. I mean, right, they're digital natives, heads are in the phone. It's really hard to advance career-wise without those soft skills. And so we are really intentional about it. There's some of it's one-on-one conversation with students. Others that we start during our orientation program, right? That we just literally from day one, we're talking about those things. So, you know, and it's you can't overrate it.
And I think a number of your classes, electives especially, are geared more towards leadership building. You know, yeah.
This is exactly right. That's what we are teaching our students in project management. Interpersonal skills are very, very important for project managers, and this is exactly what we're doing in the classrooms. Thank you all for being here tonight. What we heard tonight reinforces the vision behind Columbia's new project management program, that tomorrow's leaders need more than just technical skills. They need adaptability, cross-industry fluency, digital awareness, and above all, the ability to lead with clarity and purpose in a rapidly evolving world. I hope tonight's conversation gave you a deeper understanding of the kinds of learning pathways and career directions that are possible within our program. Whether you're drawn to a specific concentration or prefer the flexibility of the general track. So I will just welcome you now to join our drinks and food and discuss with us more in person if you like.
Brilliant.
Thank you.